Chapter 1381. Weren't they familiar with each other? Luo Qingtong looked at the face on the paper. Who else could it be but Feng Yuan in disguise? Heavenly Doctor, Luo Qingtong chuckled. She did not expect that the other party had also come to the far west wilderness. Should it be said that enemies meet on a narrow path? However, was the information that the Ouyang clan knew about the Saint King's tomb actually provided by the other party? So, what was her conspiracy? Luo Qingtong and Feng Yuan had fought back and forth several times. She knew that she was not a person who would shoot without thinking. Since she had found the Ouyang family to cooperate, she must have a motive. She just did not know what she was after. Things were really getting more and more interesting. Luo Qingtong's lips curled into a smile, and her face was full of interest. She originally thought that Feng Yuan would hide and practice desperately after she had broken the method of seizing luck on Mo Qinshian. She did not expect that she had come to the far west wilderness and had a relationship with the Ouyang family. Not only that, it seemed that she was also after the Saint King's tomb. This was interesting. It seemed that this trip to the Saint King's tomb was very lively. While Luo Qingtong's lips were smiling, in the Ouyang family, Feng Yuan, who had disguised himself as the Heavenly Doctor, had also received news about the map of the Saint King's tomb. You mean, a map of the Saint King's tomb has appeared? In the main hall of the Ouyang family's main courtyard, Feng Yuan was dressed as a woman. His face was disguised as the Heavenly Doctor. He looked very delicate and beautiful, and it was hard to tell whether he was a man or a woman. However, she did not have Luo Qingtong's unique demonic and domineering aura. Her face, which was both male and female, was beautiful but did not have a trace of spirituality. She looked like an overly delicate plastic flower. In terms of temperament, he was too feminine. However, the young master of the Ouyang family next to him looked at him with a face full of obsession. That's right. We've received news that the map of the Saint Monarch's tomb is in the family Hu. As he spoke, he recounted everything that had happened in family Hu recently. Then he asked Feng Yuan, Holy Doctor, what should we do next? Do we have to wait for the other two maps to appear? But according to the current situation, no one knows where the two maps are. Now that we have two maps, can we start exploring the Sage Monarch's tomb? Ouyang family head said as he looked at Feng Yuan. The latter had suddenly appeared in Wild City some time ago. At that time his son, the young master of the Ouyang family, was suffering from a strange illness. The Ouyang family put out a notice to seek treatment, and the other party came and cured his son's strange illness. Not only that, but he also took out a map of the Sage Monarch's tomb, told them about the tomb and asked for their cooperation. The Ouyang family head naturally wouldn't refuse such a beneficial thing for the family. Thus the two sides began to cooperate. The various abilities and medicinal skills that Feng Yuan displayed also made the head of the Ouyang family attach great importance to her. This time she was the one who brought the news of the Sage Monarch's tomb. Therefore he naturally had to ask for her opinion. Yi Jiao, hearing the Ouyang family head's description of family Hu, Feng Yuan's brows furrowed slightly. She had never heard of the other party's name before. How could he be so capable? Not only did he cure Hu Zhongtian's injury, but he also cured Hu Fei's strange illness. Let's not talk about the latter. Chapter 1382. At that time she saw the illness in his body and it was absolutely untreatable. If he himself was like this, there was no need to talk about his son. Lying in bed for more than 10 years, it must be a very troublesome strange illness. Feng Yuan couldn't even treat his injury, naturally she wouldn't treat his son's strange illness. Otherwise, even if she cured his son, so what? If she couldn't cure him, she would be questioned by others. Thinking of this, she rejected him at that time. She didn't expect that there was someone who cured his injury. Not only that, he also cured his son's illness. That Yi Jiao, where did he come from? In this world, other than her and evil Dr. Gui Tong, there was someone who had such godly medical skills at such a young age? Thinking of this, Feng Yuan's eyes suddenly focused. Wait. She looked at Ouyang family head and said, You just said that behind them is the king of the southern region's 3 islands and 7 lands? Mentioning Yu Si Huang, Feng Yuan's eyes turned cold. Not for anything else, she had previously received news that the reason why Yu Si Huang was banned by the Blackfield, not allowing him to step into the eastern region's territory, especially the Blackfield city, was all because of evil Dr. Gui Tong. It was said that the other party had fallen in love with evil Dr. Gui Tong and went to the Blackfield city to confess. That was why he was chased out of the Blackfield city by Ming Zun and then banned by the entire city. Thinking of this, Feng Yuan clenched her teeth. Although the king of the southern region's 3 islands and 7 lands wasn't as good as Yi Qianxian, he was still a rare expert. Not only that, after his heart disease was cured, his strength and potential soared rapidly, and in the future he would be the king of the southern region. For such a person to fall in love with evil Dr. Gui Tong, Feng Yuan couldn't help but grit her teeth until they broke. Although she only set her eyes on Yi Qianxian, it didn't mean that she didn't want other men to fall in love with her. Especially Yu Huang, no matter if it was strength or status, he was an existence that far surpassed the average expert. In the end, the other party actually liked Luo Qingtong. When Feng Yuan found out about this, he almost smashed the main hall of his princess residence. Now that he heard the news of the other party, plus that Yi Jio's medical skills were so powerful, a trace of haze appeared in Feng Yuan's eyes. Family whose daughter, what did you say her name was? Hu Yenyang. Ouyang family head and the others didn't know why she asked these questions, but they still answered truthfully. Saint Doctor, do you know her? Seeing that Feng Yuan's eyes suddenly shrank after hearing Hu Yenyang's name, and his mood fluctuated greatly, the head of the Ouyang family immediately asked. No, I don't know her. Feng Yuan said coldly, his eyes cold. But I know her master. Swallow, Hu Yenyang shopkeeper Yen. They both had the word Yen, plus the youth called Yi Jio's medical skills, and Yu Huang's existence. How could there be such a coincidence in this world? Feng Yuan was almost certain that the youth called Yi Jio was evil Dr. Gui Tong. The other party knew how to hide, to actually hide his name and come to the far west wilderness. He should also be here for the Saint King's tomb, right? Just in time. Evil Dr. Gui Tong. I've lost to you a few times before. Now let's settle our old grudges together. Feng Yuan's eyes were cold and his face was full of resentment. Chapter 1383. Not far from it. Ouyang family head said, at that time Bai Feng from the Bai family revealed everything in front of all the families present. Now, almost everyone in Wild City knows that the map of the Saint Monarch's tomb is with family Hu. However, with the king of the 3 islands and 7 lands in the southern region around, no one dares to touch family Hu. In other words, if there were no accidents, the map of the Saint Monarch's tomb would belong to family Hu. No one dared to snatch it. However, how could she fulfill Ghost Eye's wish so easily? Feng Yuan sneered. Of course, she would let him enter the Saint Monarch's tomb. Otherwise, how could she be worthy of her plan? But the map of the Saint Monarch's tomb. She would just hand it over obediently. She would not let her enter the Saint Monarch's tomb in such a grand manner. She would just wait to be crushed by the top forces in Wild City. She would just wait to see her in a sorry state. With that thought in mind, Feng Yuan suddenly said to Ouyang family head, if I'm not wrong, that Yi Jio should be one of my enemies. Anyone can have the map of the Saint Monarch's tomb, but the Hu clan can't have it. Help me contact the Hua family. Give these medicinal liquids to them. Didn't the elders and young master of their family have one hand crippled by Yu Huang? These medicinal liquids can restore their hand to its original state. I only have one request, and that is to not let family Hu have the map of the Saint Monarch's tomb. I think you will help me, Ouyang family head? Feng Yuan looked at Ouyang family head who was sitting at the head of the hall. For such a small matter, our Ouyang family will naturally satisfy the holy doctor's request. Ouyang family head agreed to her request almost without any hesitation. It was just a mere family Hu. It was not a big deal. Moreover, Feng Yuan was not asking the Ouyang family to directly confront the other party. Wasn't there still the Hua family? If they could get the map of the Saint Monarch's tomb, the other party would be very willing to deal with family Hu. Furthermore, the Ouyang family could use this opportunity to make some requests to the Hua family. These were all real benefits. Not only could they satisfy Feng Yuan's request, but they could also obtain the corresponding benefits. Why wouldn't their Ouyang family agree? Yes, Lord Holy Doctor, don't worry. We will definitely avenge you. As for Yi Jio and the Hu clan, we will definitely teach them a lesson for you. Beside Feng Yuan, the young master of the Ouyang clan said eagerly. He was mesmerized by Feng Yuan the moment he saw him. In order to better control the Ouyang family, the latter revealed her identity as a woman when she first entered the Ouyang family. The strange illness that the young master of the Ouyang clan contracted was also Feng Yuan's handiwork. It was all so that he could enter the Ouyang clan without attracting attention and cooperate with them. Now, with just a little trick, the other party couldn't leave her. It provided Feng Yuan with a lot of convenience in the Ouyang family. Hearing his words, Feng Yuan immediately smiled at him and said, "Thank you, young master and family head." Feng Yuan's words made the young master of the Ouyang family very satisfied. Looking at the infatuated look in his eyes, Feng Yuan felt disdainful and very proud at the same time. Her charm was indeed not something that could be resisted by ordinary people. Unfortunately, Ming Zun of the Black Field was bewitched by that B*TH evil Dr. Ghost Eye first. Otherwise, why would he turn a blind eye to her? Feng Yuan gritted her teeth in her heart. She wanted to see how evil Dr. Ghost Eye would be unlucky this time. Chapter 1384. Beiqing Fengyu? Luo Qingtong raised her eyebrows and looked at the group of people in front of her. Meanwhile, Beiqing Fengyu and the others were also staring at her blankly. More accurately, he was looking at the incomparably adorable little fox in her arms. Oh my God! Beiqing Fengyu and the rest groaned in their hearts. They never thought that Luo Qingtong would dress Yi Qianxian up like this. Master. Master, we really didn't do it on purpose. Master. The group of people looked at the little fox lying in Luo Qingtong's arms and looking at them coldly. Their hearts trembled and they wailed. Especially Beiqing. After he sent Yi Qianxian to Luo Qingtong's place, he vaguely felt that something was wrong. But he was too dense. Although he felt something, he couldn't figure out what was wrong. When Fengyu returned from outside and heard about this, he was so shocked that he almost fell to the ground. Beiqing, this idiot. Master is a little fox. He sent Yi Qianxian to the evil doctor and said that it was a gift from Master. Wouldn't the evil doctor keep Master as a pet? Even if Master wanted to stay by the evil doctor's side, he definitely wouldn't do it in such a way. Master would probably want to avoid the evil doctor in this way. How could he send Master to the evil doctor's side? Fengyu couldn't bear to imagine what would happen to Beiqing and the rest. He only hoped that Master's life at the evil doctor's side wouldn't be so bad and that he would be more benevolent. Otherwise, they would have to wear that eyesore makeup and be a ladyboy for the rest of their lives. Fengyu's lips twitched. After Beiqing heard what he said, he instantly understood what he had vaguely sensed, that something was amiss. His gaze. When he brought Master to the evil doctor, Master's gaze was as if he wanted to chop him up. To think that he had thought that Master was warning them not to reveal his identity. Oh my God. Beiqing felt like she was going to die. Especially when he looked at Yi Qianxian, who was dressed up to look cute and obedient, with a gorgeous red flower pinned on his head, and felt his master's cold gaze, which was even colder than the cold wind. This feeling became even more intense. Master. Master, I was wrong, Master. Beiqing felt that she was about to be cut into pieces by her master's gaze. Luo Qingtong noticed the strange looks they were giving the silver fox. She raised an eyebrow and asked, "What is it? Why are you staring at Silver Bao?" Silver Baby. Hearing Luo Qingtong's name for Yi Qianxian, Beiqing, Fengyu and the others' mouths twitched even more. They didn't dare to stare at Yi Qianxian anymore, in case Luo Qingtong noticed something. If that happened, they would die even more miserably. The group of people immediately averted their gazes. Ahem. Evil doctor, it's like this. Fengyu coughed lightly and looked past her master's eyesore. She looked at Luo Qingtong and said, "Master sent us to fetch Silver Bao back. Please return it to me for the time being." Fengyu's face was full of bitterness as she said this. Oh my God. Beiqing and the others had made such a big mistake. Giving Master to the evil doctor as a pet. When Master returned to her human form, where were they going to find Silver Bao to return to the evil doctor? This was simply a scam. Chapter 1385. Fengyu's heart was filled with bitterness, but he didn't dare to show it on his face. Yi Qianxian wants to bring it back? What? Luo Qingtong felt strange. Wasn't this little fox a gift from Yi Qianxian? Ahem. We don't know either. That's what Master told us, Fengyu said. His face was calm and his words were watertight. Beiqing stood beside him and didn't dare to make a sound. She was afraid that Luo Qingtong would notice something was wrong. Then they would be dead. They would be dead. There was no way to save them. In the face of such a strong sense of danger, Beiqing's stupid and careless personality was surprisingly good. She didn't reveal anything. Luo Qingtong nodded. She thought that Yi Qianxian probably wanted to bring the little fox back for something. Not to mention other things, the little fox's claws were still wearing that man's ring. Maybe it was because of that. Luo Qingtong thought about it and immediately let go of the little fox in her arms. Alright, you guys can take it away. Silver Bao, be good. I'll wait for you to come back. Luo Qingtong kissed the little fox's nose and handed it over to Beiqing and Fengyu. The latter and the others didn't dare to look at the interaction between Luo Qingtong and Yi Qianxian. They were afraid that Master would punish them when they returned. Master actually interacted with the evil doctor like this after turning into a fox. Oh my God. Beiqing, Fengyu, and the others suddenly felt that their lives would be very difficult when they returned. Especially when Luo Qingtong handed a pile of silver Bao's toys to Feng Yu. The latter's expression was so stiff that he couldn't even look at it. Master's toys? Wind Feather looked at those little cloth tigers, little cloth lions, little cloth bears in her hands with a horrified expression on her face. There were also a few grasshoppers with broken wings. They were locked in a transparent jade bottle and given to him. The faces of Feng Yu and Bei Qing stiffened. Especially when they saw the bite marks on the little cloth tiger's body, the expressions on everyone's faces became even more horrified. Was this really Master's bite? Everyone's expression was very stiff. When Luo Qingtong saw the cloth tiger, she seemed to remember something and immediately picked it out. Silver Baby has already given this little cloth tiger to me. I won't take it back. Luo Qingtong smiled at the silver fox, which had been placed into a basket by Bei Qing and Wind Feather. Silver Baby, I'll wait for you to come back so we can play together. As she spoke, she shook the small cloth tiger in her hand. Yi Qianxian stared at him blankly. He really didn't know what to say. Other than this woman, who else could treat him as a nether venerable and raise him as a pet? It was this woman. If it were anyone else, he would definitely not allow them to treat him like this. Oh, ow. Seeing Luo Qingtong staring at him as if waiting for his response, Yi Qianxian was very depressed. But in order not to expose himself, he still opened his mouth and called out to the girl twice to show that he understood. As for playing with her when he came back, he would play with her himself. But definitely not with these toys. Chapter 1386. Then Evil Doctor will be leaving first. Bei Qing, Wind Feather, and the others bowed to Luo Qingtong with cold sweat on their foreheads. Then they led Yi Qianxian away. After they were far away from Wild City, the group of people lifted the cloth covering the basket and knelt on the ground, begging for forgiveness. Master! Please forgive us, Master. Humph! Yi Qianxian coldly snorted and straightened his body from the small basket. The figure that was squatting in the basket was still small and cute, but the aura that it exuded was extremely powerful and incomparable. It was completely different from the cute and obedient attitude that it had in front of Luo Qingtong. Yi Qianxian lifted his claws and pulled down the big red flower on his head. He was a dignified underworld revered, who knew what he looked like when he wore this big red flower. Yi Qianxian clenched his teeth and pulled down the flower. He originally wanted to crush it. But as he thought of Luo Qingtong's happy smile when she put this flower on his head, he coldly snorted and retracted his claws. He grabbed the flower and threw it to the other side of the basket. Then he pulled down the cute cartoon vest on his cub's body. He didn't know what was embroidered on it. It had a short body, a big round head, and eyes that took up almost 2/3 of its face. What kind of monster was this? Yi Qianxian studied the cartoon pattern on the vest for a long time. He didn't know what Luo Qingtong had drawn. Within the Sky Spill continent, he was very familiar with all the monster beasts in the outer realms. There were very few monster beasts that he didn't recognize. What did Luo Qingtong draw that he couldn't recognize? However, this appearance was a bit like his own cub form. He felt that the woman had changed the proportions of his cub's body. Yi Qianxian stared at the small vest for a while. Then he pulled it to the side and placed it together with the big red flower. Then he stretched out his claws and pulled at the small bell around his neck. The bell was tied with a thin golden ribbon around the neck of Yi Qianxian's cub body. The bell was silver and was especially delicate and beautiful. It floated around the neck of Yi Qianxian's cub body, perfectly complementing its smooth silver fur. On the back of the bell, there were 2 characters engraved, "Silver Treasure." It was clearly Luo Qingtong's handwriting. Yi Qianxian was short and his claws were short. He couldn't pull it open for a long time, but he didn't want to tear the bell's ribbon. Not for any other reason. Although he didn't like it, it was still Luo Qingtong's heart, he couldn't pull it. Feng Yu, who was kneeling in front of him, carefully looked up at him and said, "Master, let me do it?" Yi Qianxian coldly snorted and didn't speak. He put down his claws. Feng Yu hurriedly went forward and removed the belt. Bei Qing originally wanted to help, but he was pulled back by Yi Qianren's claw. Yi Qianxian was still angry. He didn't want to bother with Bei Qing at all. The latter had a sad face. In his heart, he was cursing Elder Yu who had tricked him into sending Yi Qianxian to Luo Qingtong. That smelly old man, what kind of enmity did he have with him? He tricked him like this. Chapter 1387. While Bei Qing continued to kneel on the ground with an aggrieved expression, Feng Yu had already helped Yi Qianxian untie the belt and placed it together with the bell on the pile of things beside Yi Qianxian. "Master, it's done." Yi Qianxian glanced at him coldly. He wanted to say something, but then he remembered that he was now a fox cub. If he opened his mouth, he would sound like a cub. He immediately shut his mouth and raised his claws to draw on the ground, then let Feng Yu take a look. Feng Yu came over and saw a few lines of words written on the ground. This matter is forbidden to speak of. Anyone who speaks of it will be killed without mercy. Yi Qianxian's last 3 words were written with a murderous aura. The sharp killing intent and coldness seemed to penetrate through those few words and rush towards him like a golden spear and armored horse. Yes. Feng Yu and the others quickly responded. They knew that Yi Qianxian must have specially warned them to not let the evil doctor know. The corners of everyone's lips twitched as well. With their master's current state, how would they dare to let the evil doctor know the truth? It's not like he was tired of living. The group all responded. Yi Qianxian's cold gaze swept past them, then he wrote a few more words on the ground. Where's Elder Yu? His last question was spoken with great force, showing the anger in his heart. Yi Qianxian had heard clearly before that it was Elder Yu who suggested to send him to Luo Qingtong for that fool Bei Qing. At that time, the demon fox blood curse in his body had just taken effect, and his body was very weak. He had no way to resist at all, and Bei Qing had carried him to Luo Qingtong with a basket. He had to settle the score with him now. Yes, master. Feng Yu quickly said, Elder Yu is in the main city. This time we were ordered by Elder Yu to bring you back. He found a way to speed up your absorption of the heavenly fox blood essence and break the blood curse. At this point, Feng Yu couldn't help but cough lightly. To be honest, if it wasn't for this, they wouldn't have dared to come and pick up Yi Qianxian. They were afraid that their master would punish them in a fit of rage. With Elder Yu's method, their master would be busy dissolving the heavenly fox blood essence in his body. He would probably postpone their punishment, right? The group of people all thought so. Yi Qianxian coldly snorted. How could he not know what they were thinking in their hearts? However, he really urgently needed to dissolve the heavenly fox blood essence in his body. He wouldn't bicker with them for the time being, recovering his human form as soon as possible. He had had enough of this young fox's body and the nature of its body. In front of that woman he could still tolerate it. Now that she had left Luo Qingtong's side, Yi Qianren did not want to maintain her image for even a second. Let's go. He lifted his claws and quickly carved a word on the ground. Then he suddenly jumped onto Feng Yu's shoulder. The latter bowed to him and then released the Atlas flying ship. The group of people boarded the ship and flew towards the Blackfield main city. After Bei Qing and the others left in the family who Luo Qingtong put away the small cloth tiger and was about to return to her room. Then she heard the news from the family who guards outside. The Hua family had sent people to the door and specifically asked to see her. The Hua family? Luo Qingtong raised her eyebrows. When she was in the Bai family, didn't she express her intention clearly enough? Chapter 1388. Luo Qingtong narrowed her eyes slightly. Okay, go and tell Yen Yang that I'll be there soon. Just as the Hua clan was heading to the family the Hua clan head also welcomed a group of unexpected people in the main hall of the Hua clan. Young Master Ouyang? The Hua clan head and the elders of the Hua clan were surprised to see Ouyang Shao suddenly visit. What was this young Master Ouyang doing in the Hua clan? As top clans, the Hua clan and the Ouyang clan were not enemies, but they were not particularly harmonious either. What's more, the Hua clan intended to fight for the map of the Saint King's tomb, but they were defeated by Yusi Huang. Was the Ouyang clan here to mock them? Thinking of this, the Hua clan head's face suddenly darkened. But soon he was stunned. Hua clan head, I'm here on my father's orders to deliver medicine to you. I heard that Hua Ting and a few elders of the Hua clan were injured? Ouyang Shao smiled as he looked at the Hua family head and said, these few bottles of medicinal liquid were given to me by the holy doctor who had cured my illness. It can help Hua Ting and the others recover their severed arms without any hindrance. As Ouyang Shao spoke, he immediately took out the bottles of medicine given by Feng Yuan and handed them to the Hua clan head. What do you mean, Master Ouyang? The Hua clan head did not take the bottles of medicine, but looked at Ouyang Shao with a puzzled expression. He did not know why the Ouyang clan was so kind. The Hua clan's strength suffered a setback, so it should be beneficial for the Ouyang clan, right? When the Saint King's tomb opened, the Ouyang clan would have fewer competitors. Wouldn't that be great? Why did he still give them medicine and treat them? Looking at the Hua clan head's vigilant face, Ouyang Shao said, don't misunderstand Master Hua. These bottles of medicine were not given to you by the Ouyang clan, but by the holy doctor. He said, Yi Jiao, who is hiding in the family Chu Lingfeng's friend, is the holy doctor's enemy. The holy doctor saved my life and is the benefactor of our Ouyang clan. Since she has a grudge against family we can't let the map of the sage monarch's tomb fall into family hands. I chose to cooperate with the Hua clan only because we have the same enemy. Patriarch Hua, you also want to obtain the map of the Saint Monarch's tomb to wash away your shame, right? That southern region king was summoned by Yi Jiao. Snatching the map from her is equivalent to slapping the southern region king in the face. It's not too much. The Hua clan will also benefit from this. I don't think Patriarch Hua would reject such a proposal, right? Ouyang Shao looked at the Hua clan head and said. These words were naturally given to him by Feng Yuan. Feng Yuan's grasp of people's hearts was extremely accurate. She didn't even need to be there to be sure that the other party wouldn't reject her proposal. Sure enough, after pondering for a while, the Hua family head accepted the bottles of medicinal liquid. Then he looked at Ouyang Shao and asked, does the Ouyang clan mean to support the Hua clan in obtaining the map? That's right. Ouyang Shao nodded and said, I know that the Hua clan is preparing to cooperate with several other top clans. The Ouyang clan already has a map of the Saint Monarch's tomb. The Ouyang clan will not participate in the second map of the Saint Monarch's tomb. Chapter 1389. Patriarch Hua, what do you think? Ouyang Shao expressed the Ouyang family's attitude. They would not interfere in this matter, so the Hua family and the other top families did not have to worry about them suddenly attacking. Good. The head of the Hua family immediately agreed. If he could, of course he did not want to share the map with family The latter had already formed a grudge with the Hua family. When he insisted that Hu Yinyang had an affair and almost forced her to die, he knew that there was no chance for the relationship between the two families to be eased. Now he had to lower his voice to family in order to get the right to share the map. He was very unwilling to do so. Otherwise he wouldn't have made contact with the other top families. Now the Ouyang family's attitude gave him a reassurance. Since the Ouyang family did not interfere, then with the alliance of the other families, it was enough to force family to hand over the map of the Saint King's tomb. Even if the other party had the support of a king of the southern region like Yusi Huang. After all, this was the far west wilderness, not the other party's home ground. This time, family whose success and failure were all because of Yi Jiao. He did not expect that the other party had a grudge with the alchemist who saved Ouyang Shao, so he and the others benefited for no reason. Patriarch Hua thought about it and suddenly laughed. Then he seemed to remember something and quickly called the guard outside. Quick! Go and call back the people who went to family to make peace. Tell them that it's not necessary. Family who can't keep the map of the Saint King's tomb. Also, ask the leaders of the other top families to come here. Tell them that I have something important to discuss with them. Yes. The Hua family guard received the order and left. In family Hu, Luo Qingtong followed the family Hu guard who came to report to the main hall of the main courtyard. Hu Yinyang and the others were already waiting there. Young master. Hu Yinyang, Hu Zhongtian, and the others looked at Luo Qingtong and stood up to salute her. Yes. Luo Qingtong responded in a low voice and nodded. Then she looked at the group of people sitting on the lower right side of the hall. That group of people was sent by the Hua family to make peace. They originally wanted to contact Luo Qingtong in private. However, Luo Qingtong almost never went out of family Hu. They had no way of bypassing family Hu's people to get in touch with Luo Qingtong, so they could only ask to see her. Ninth young master. The leader of the people from the Hua family who had come this time was an elder who had not participated in the incident with Hua Ting and the others in the Bai family. When he saw Luo Qingtong, he immediately stood up and saluted her. Behind him were some disciples of the Hua clan. However, these people were no longer as arrogant and unbridled as they used to be when they met family Hu. Every one of them was very humble. Ninth young master. They all bowed to Luo Qingtong. Luo Qingtong narrowed her eyes and looked at them. What is the purpose of the Hua clan's visit this time? The map of the Saint Monarch's tomb? I think I made my attitude very clear when I was in the Bai family last time. Luo Qingtong's voice was calm, but her tone of rejection was unquestionable. The Hua clan had treated Hu Yinyang badly. When they were in the Bai family, they even tried to snatch the map of the Saint Monarch's tomb. No matter what conditions they proposed, Luo Qingtong would not agree. The Hua clan elder's expression was very ugly. The Hua clan could be said to be very influential in the Wild City. They had always been the ones who rejected others, but no one had ever rejected them. Chapter 1390. Luo Qingtong's words made the elder of the Hua family very angry. In his opinion, family Hu and this young man named Yi Jiao, if not for Yu Sihuang's strength and identity, they were not even qualified to talk to the Hua family. This time they were really a fox assuming the majesty of the tiger. How dare they embarrass the Hua family like this? However, when he thought of the map of the Saint King's tomb and what the Hua family had said to them before they left, he could only swallow his anger and said to Luo Qingtong, "Why do you have to do this, young Master Jiao? Our whole family did go a little too far when we were with the Bai family. But that was just a moment of recklessness for those elders. The Hua family is willing to apologize for this. Moreover, the exploration of the Saint King's tomb is of great importance. With family whose ability alone, I'm afraid it will be difficult for them to move an inch in the Saint King's tomb. Young Master, why do you want to affect the benefits of entering the Saint King's tomb because of this small conflict between us? Not to mention other things, just based on the friendship between the Hua family and family Hu in the past, it is far more suitable for you to share the map with us than to find other top families, isn't it?" The elder of the Hua family said as he looked at Luo Qingtong. Hu Zhongtian and the others snorted and sneered when they heard this. The Hua family dared to talk about friendship with them? If they really had a little bit of friendship with family Hu, Yan Yang would not have fallen into such a miserable state. Not to mention, the Hua family had never extended a helping hand to family Hu for so many years. They had kicked them when they were down. The Bai family even brazenly made a move to snatch the map of the Saint King's tomb from them. After all this, the Hua family still dared to talk about friendship with them? Hu Zhongqian and the others' expressions were extremely cold. Luo Qingtong was even more unmoved. The Hua family's words were nice, but unfortunately, it was useless against her. Why would she need to rely on others to gain something in the Saint King's tomb? Luo Qingtong's expression was indifferent. Not interested. She looked at the elder of the Hua clan and said, "If the people of the Hua clan came just to say these words, then, see them out." Luo Qingtong said and stood up directly. Ninth young master. When the elder of the Hua family saw this, he immediately stood up and shouted anxiously. Luo Qingtong actually didn't give him any face, which made the Hua clan's elder very depressed. However, for the sake of the Hua family's patriarch, she had no choice but to grit her teeth and continue to plead for her. At this moment, a Hua clan guard quickly walked in. Elder. The Hua clan's guard walked up to the Hua clan's elder and whispered into his ear, "The patriarch wants us to go back. The Ouyang clan is here to support our Hua clan in the fight for the Saint Monarch's tomb map. The only requirement is that you can't share it with family Hu. Elder, we don't have to suffer family Hu's anger anymore. After today, family Hu will have a good time." The guard had just received a message from the Hua family's patriarch outside and immediately told the Hua clan's elder about it. The elder was stunned at first, but then he was overjoyed. "Ah, good. The Hua clan's elder laughed loudly, then looked at Luo Qingtong and the others with a cold and disdainful gaze. Chapter 1391. Ninth young master, let me give you a piece of advice. Don't be so arrogant. If it weren't for the ruler of the southern region, you and family Hu would have died many times over. How would you have the chance to be so arrogant in front of us? The Hua family has always disdained to lower ourselves to the level of petty people. Otherwise, based on family Hu's previous down-and-out appearance and the fact that he made the Hua family a laughingstock, he would have been torn to pieces and crushed to pieces a long time ago. But family Hu doesn't appreciate it. You really don't know what's good for you. Especially you, Hu Yenyang. The Hua family elders sneered at Hu Yenyang and said, "Doesn't family Hu hate us for telling the public that you had an affair with someone else? Unfortunately, even if you were set up, you are still an unclean broken shoe. You did something shameless yourself. Naturally, you can't blame the Hua family for misunderstanding. Isn't that the case?" The Hua family elder's expression was cold and disdainful. His mocking and disdainful gaze pierced Hu Yenyang deeply. She was so angry that her body trembled. This Hua family elder's words were too shameless. Back then, the Hua family clearly didn't have any evidence. In order to protect their own reputation and to prevent Hu Yenyang from blaming the Hua family, they simply told the public that she had an affair with someone else. Hu Yenyang had no way to defend herself. She had been slandered and despised to the core. Now, this Hua family elder dared to say such things about her and shamelessly whitewash the Hua family. Hu Yenyang was so angry that her entire body trembled. Hu Zhongqian and Hu Fei, who were beside her, were also very angry. They had always treated Hu Yenyang like the apple of their eye. When the latter encountered such an unforeseen event, they were just as heartbroken as Hu Yenyang. Now that they saw this Hua family elder slandering and humiliating Hu Yenyang, they were instantly so angry that their hair and beards flared up. In the past, Hu Yenyang wouldn't have been so miserable. If it weren't for the Hua family's slander, Hu Zhongqian could have brought Hu Yenyang back to family Hu's care and suppressed that matter. However, it was the Hua family's publicity and slander that trampled Hu Yenyang, who had lost her virginity. At that time, the Hua family had countless ways to break off the engagement, but they chose the most ruthless way to deal with Hu Yenyang, which was also the one that made her feel the most hopeless. If it wasn't for this, how could Bai Feng have seized the opportunity to make a move on Hu Yenyang and forced her to flee thousands of miles away? This elder of the Hua clan actually dared to speak to her like that. A family of S. But she couldn't act rashly. Her intuition, which had been in charge of the affairs of the Blackfield residence for Luo Qingtong for a long time, told her that there must be a reason behind this Hua family elder's sudden change in attitude. Before she figured it out, she couldn't cause trouble for Luo Qingtong because of her own affairs. Perhaps the other party wanted to provoke her to deal with her master? As Hu Yenyang thought of this, she immediately suppressed all the anger and frustration in her heart. At the same time, she held Hu Zhongqian and Hu Fei's hands to prevent them from acting too rashly. Chapter 1392. What are you waiting for? Luo Qingtong's face was cold as she looked at the Hua family elder who was sneering at her. She said to Hu Yenyang and the others coldly. Others are pointing at your noses and scolding you. Are you waiting for them to leave happily after scolding you to their heart's content? Still not attacking? Today no one from the Hua family can leave here in one piece. This Hua family elder's attitude was strange. Luo Qingtong naturally saw it. It would be fine if the other party left obediently. She wouldn't go as far as to attack a random person. But the other party was so arrogant and unscrupulous. They even insulted Hu Yenyang. Luo Qingtong couldn't tolerate it. Did they really think that she didn't dare to attack them? So what if the Hua family had someone backing them? She, Luo Qingtong, was never afraid of any challenge. You dare. Yijio. You dare to attack us. The Hua family won't let you go. The Hua family elder just said arrogantly and humiliated Hu Yenyang. He also attacked Hu Zhongtian and his son. Suddenly he felt an indescribable pleasure in his heart. He only felt that he had vented his anger in front of Luo Qingtong. He thought that even if Luo Qingtong and the others were angry, they wouldn't dare to do anything to them. After all, they had the whole Hua family behind them. And he didn't attack Luo Qingtong. He just wanted to deal with Hu Yenyang. What could the other party do to him? Yu Huang was willing to protect Yi Jiao and family Hu. But it didn't mean that he would also protect Hu Yenyang. He calculated in his heart, but he didn't expect that Luo Qingtong would attack him. Seeing Hu Zhongtian and the others surrounding them, his heart felt bad. Was this Yi Jiao crazy? She relied on Yu Huang's protection. She actually dared to take the initiative to attack him? Just to avenge Hu Yenyang? The elder of the Hua family was both anxious and angry as he thought about it. He hurriedly shouted. Luo Qingtong's expression was indifferent. She sneered at him and said, if we don't touch you, the Hua clan won't do anything to us? If that's the case, you wouldn't be so arrogant just now, right? As she spoke, she lifted her eyes to look at the Hua family elder, whose expression had suddenly changed, and casually said, so, why should I let you go? At this point, Luo Qingtong's expression suddenly turned solemn. She said in a cold voice, do it. Chop him up and send him back to the Hua family. As for the others, break their limbs and send them back. The other party was so respectful. Luo Qingtong didn't believe that the Hua family didn't have a plot against her and the Hu family. Their biggest goal was to get their hands on the map of the sage monarch's tomb that family Hu had. Since that was the case, why would Luo Qingtong be polite to the other party? Chapter 1393. Only now did he realize the consequences of speaking too quickly. However, there was no room for regret now. Ah! The Hua family elder screamed as he died at the hands of Hu Zhongtian and Hu Fei. At that time they came with the intention of seeking peace. They did not expect to have a conflict with family Hu. They also did not expect that Luo Qingtong would not care about the Hua family and directly kill him. In the end, the Hua family elder died with his eyes wide open. As for the other Hua clan guards who had followed them to the Hua clan, they were all surrounded by the Hu clan people. They were directly pressed to the ground and their limbs were all broken. Together with the Hua clan elder who had been chopped into minced meat, they were all sent to the Hua clan in a grandiose manner. In the Hua family head had just sent Ouyang Shao off. He was very pleased. Back then he had slandered Hu Yenyang for having an affair. He felt very uncomfortable in his heart. He always felt that it was a stain on his reputation. He was also very concerned about family Hu's people. Previously, when family Hu was in dire straits, it was still fine. Now that family Hu was showing signs of rising, his heart instantly felt like a fishbone stuck in his throat. It would be best if he could use this opportunity to get rid of family Hu. Otherwise, he would always feel uncomfortable when he looked at family Hu's people. Moreover, he did not believe that family Hu's people, Hu Yenyang and the others, would not have any intention of settling the score with him. Now that the Ouyang family had supported them in snatching family Hu's map of the Saint King's tomb, he no longer had any worries. Even if Yu Huang had the support of the other party, they would have nothing to fear if the other top families joined forces. The Hua family head suddenly felt relieved when he thought of this. He walked to the main gate and was just about to ask someone to prepare gifts for him to visit the other top families. At this moment, a burst of noise suddenly came from not far away. Instantly, the Hua family head frowned and looked in the direction of the noise. The noise was very noisy and seemed to be getting closer and closer. It was obvious that the noise was directed at the Hua family. Instantly, the Hua family head felt very uneasy. Who dares to act so impudently in front of our Hua clan? This area was the Hua family's private land. Most of the people living nearby were the elites of the Hua family. Could be said that very few people came here. It would be difficult for ordinary people to enter this place. But obviously that would be the case. The noisy noises were an exception. Let's go see what's going on. Listening to the increasingly noisy voices, Patriarch Hua inexplicably had a bad premonition in his heart. It was as if something bad had happened. He coldly ordered the Hua family guards at the door. Chapter 1394. The Hua family head's heart skipped a beat when he suddenly heard the Hua family disciples mention her name. At this moment, the noisy voices suddenly turned a corner and rang clearly in the ears of the Hua family head and the others. The Hua family are all cheese. We slandered Hu Yenyang, we deserve to die. The Hua family is shameless. Suddenly, the sound of crying could be heard clearly from the front. The Hua family head and the others could clearly see the scene in the direction of the voices. A group of people with broken limbs crawled forward and crawled in the direction of the Hua family head and the others. Behind them was a group of family Hu's guards. Hu Fei and Chu Lingfeng walked in front of the family Hu's guards. What's going on? The Hua family head looked at the scene with a furious expression. In front of him, the few Hua family disciples who had rushed back to report the news were almost knocked down by the biting cold aura emitted from his body. Ma. Family head, we don't know either, the few of them said with sobbing voices. The few of them happened to be out today and heard the commotion outside. Then they saw family Hu's people forcing the Hua family's guards and disciples, who had broken limbs, to crawl back to the Hua family. Along the way there were many people pointing and whispering. Not only that, the Hua family's guards and disciples were shouting insults at the Hua family and themselves while crying and telling them all the secrets of the Hua family. Oh my God! The few Hua family disciples were dumbfounded on the spot. Were these people crazy? Even if they were held by family Hu's people around their necks, they couldn't reveal the secrets of the Hua family. Especially when some of the secrets were related to how the Bai family dealt with the other families. In the wilderness city, who didn't know about the recent downfall of the Bai family? The things that the Bai family had done were all spread out by the people of the other families. Not only that, most of the Bai family's assets were also divided among the other families. However, the Bai family's most important treasury and assets were nowhere to be found. The various clans had interrogated the Bai family members, but they didn't obtain any information about the location of the Bai family. The other clans all suspected that the Hua clan had moved those things away. After all, there were so many things. Among all the clans present, the Hua clan was the only one who had the ability to move those things away in such a short time. There were many things that the Bai family could not have done on their own. They must have conspired together, and the other party's strength and influence were very strong. These people didn't know about the existence of the voodoo sect, so they naturally targeted the Hua clan. After all, the Hua family and the Bai family were in-laws. Bai Feng acted as the go-between in the Hua family, and the two parties worked together. The Bai family was the vanguard while the Hua family reaped the fruits of their labor. If the Bai family was unable to solve the problem, the Hua family would take care of it in secret. This conjecture was very logical. However, no one had any evidence, so they could only give up. At this moment, the Hua family members whose limbs were broken, were crawling on the ground and crying as they spoke. This gave them sufficient reason. Many of the family members who were injured in the Bai family's incident ran back to their respective clans to report the news. The few Hua family disciples were panicking. Chapter 1395. Master. The group of people was still rambling incoherently, but Master Hua had already heard the cries of the Hua family's disciples and guards who had their limbs broken. He was so angry that he was about to have a cerebral hemorrhage. What the hell were these people talking about? When did the Hua family do such things? Were they crazy? Family whose people broke their limbs, and they actually helped family whose people to slander the Hua family? Master Hua was so angry that he almost couldn't breathe. Some of the things that the Hua family disciples and guards said were indeed secrets of the Hua family. They were not very important, and it didn't matter if they said it. However, what they said afterwards about how the Hua clan had helped the Bai clan deal with the other clans in the Wildland City was extremely frightening. Master Hua couldn't care less about the few Hua family disciples who were kneeling in front of him and stuttering as they reported. He lifted his leg and kicked them to the side. Then he coldly shouted, "Shut up! Hurry up and bring all of them here. Make them shut up." Master Hua was extremely angry, especially when he saw that many people from other families had arrived outside. He instantly became even angrier. If these people appeared individually, he could completely ignore them. However, when so many families appeared together, Even if Master Hua was the master of one of the top families, he couldn't simply offend them all. It was also because they were well aware of this point that the people from those clans had all come together. Hua clan head, can you explain what's going on? A middle-ranked family master raised his hand and pointed at the group of Hua family disciples and guards who were kneeling on the ground and crying non-stop. I don't know what is going on, Master Hua said with a cold expression. He knew that at this time he definitely couldn't admit to this matter. And these things weren't done by the Hua family in the first place. He denied it righteously, then looked at Hu Fei and Chu Lingfeng with a gloomy expression. Shouldn't you ask family Hu's people about these things? These guards and disciples were all sent to family Hu by me. You should ask them what they did to my disciples and guards to make them say such things. The Hua family head's face was filled with anger. He really didn't know what family Hu had done to these disciples and guards. If he had known that the result of sending people to family Hu would be like this, he wouldn't have sent people there in the first place. He would have just gone against family Hu directly. The Hua family head's expression was furious, but Hu Fei, who had already received Luo Qingtong's instructions, looked very calm. He looked at the ferocious Hua family head and said, Hua family head, your words are a little funny. My family Hu's people can beat the Hua family's people into confessing. Do you think they know all the secrets of the Hua family? Whether these people are telling the truth or not, we'll know with a simple test. If family Hu had the ability to know the Hua family like the back of his hand, he wouldn't have been nearly destroyed by the Bai family. As soon as Hu Fei finished speaking, everyone present immediately nodded their heads. That's right, they were very clear about family Hu's situation. Chapter 1396. But now, with these details as evidence, it was absolutely impossible that family Hu had instructed the Hua family's disciples and guards to spill the beans. Although he didn't know how family Hu did it, the words of these guards and disciples were absolutely true. There was no doubt about it. Hu Fei's words instantly angered Patriarch Hua so much that he almost spat out a mouthful of blood. Family Hu's move was too ruthless. How did they do it? In fact, Luo Qingtong had only fed them a truth pill to make these Hua family's guards and disciples reveal all of the Hua family's secrets. As for the crimes that didn't exist, Luo Qingtong only needed to hypnotize them and make them believe that these things really existed. Naturally, their subconscious minds would say these words together with the effects of the truth pill. Luo Qingtong had been thinking about how to push the blame of the voodoo sect to the Hua family. She didn't expect them to come knocking on her door. Since the Hua family wanted to die so badly, she naturally had to grant them their wish. Luo Qingtong had never been a sitting duck. Her usual style was to strike first to gain the initiative. Since the Hua family had already decided to deal with her, then she wouldn't be merciful. She would use the Hua family's name to hide the voodoo sect. From now on, the connections and resources controlled by the voodoo sect would never be discovered. Luo Qingtong would let Su Yu and the others make good use of those connections and resources. As for the Hua family, I'll just have to take the blame for this. At the same time in family Hu Yinyang looked worriedly at Luo Qingtong and said, Master, won't this enrage the Hua family too much? Hu Yinyang wasn't worried about anything else. She was only afraid that the Hua family would fly into a rage out of humiliation and recklessly attack them and Luo Qingtong. If anything happened to her master, it's fine, the Hua family won't have the chance. Just this alone was enough for the Hua family to be in a terrible fix. Not to mention, if the Hua clan wanted the map of the Saint Monarch's tomb, they would not rashly attack him. He had to have a certain level of confidence. Of course, if the Hua family really made a move, she would be more than happy to oblige. She was just worrying about how to muddy the waters. Only when the water is muddy will it be easier to fish in troubled waters. It would be great if the Hua family was willing to give her this opportunity. Luo Qingtong's actions were meant to infuriate the Hua family head. However, according to her investigation of the other party, it was unlikely that the other party would do so. Otherwise he would be too stupid. Luo Qingtong's expression was indifferent. Hu Yinyang heard her words and immediately calmed down. To her, as long as Luo Qingtong said it was fine, then it was definitely fine. Chapter 1397. Luo Qingtong smiled as she thought of this. She bid farewell to Hu Yinyang and left family Hu. Luo Qingtong already had a plan in mind. The Hua family was about to force their way in, so she naturally had to do something. She didn't want to be too passive. Just as Luo Qingtong left family Hu, the Hua family head was enraged by Hu Fei's words at the entrance of the Hua family. More and more people from the other families rushed over, giving him a headache. It was unknown what the Hu clan had done to the Hua clan's disciples and guards who had their arms and legs broken, but no matter what, they refused to shut up. The Hua family head had no choice. He couldn't kill all of them in front of so many people. If he did, it would be the Hua family who had a guilty conscience and killed them to silence them. However, if they continued to make a ruckus, the Hua family would definitely be the scapegoat. He had no choice but to let the Hua family members go forward, seal their mouths and drag them back to the backyard one by one. He wanted to see if there was any way to wake them up so that the Hua family could be cleared of suspicion. Otherwise, the following matters would be troublesome. That damned family Hu. That damned Yijio. The Hua family head had already linked this to Luo Qingtong's doing. After all, he was well aware of the capabilities of family Hu's people. Only a weak youth who had provoked the king of the southern mountain range could do such a thing. Moreover, she obviously had medical skills. Hu Zhongtian's injury and Hu Fei's strange illness were all cured by her. The Hua family head gritted his teeth as he thought of this. Family Hu Yijio, just you wait. He gritted his teeth and looked at Hu Fei and the other family members with a dark expression. He suddenly shouted coldly, "The Hua family will definitely give you an explanation for what happened today. But now we don't welcome family Hu's people here. All of you get lost." He looked coldly at Hu Fei and the others. "You don't have to worry about this, Hua family head. Since we have delivered the gift, we naturally have to leave." "Oh, that's right, we still have a big gift here that we haven't delivered." Ninth young master personally instructed that this big gift must be delivered to the Hua family head. Otherwise, I'm afraid that it isn't sincere enough. As he said this, he immediately called out to Chu Lingfeng, who was beside him. "Lingfeng." The latter responded and took out a black jar from the useless ring that Luo Qingtong gave him. Then he raised his hand and threw it at the head of the Hua family. "Stop pretending to be mysterious." The Hua family head snorted coldly. He didn't even look at the jar. He raised his hand and smashed the jar into pieces. However, the moment the jar shattered, the head of the Hua family clearly felt that something was wrong. In an instant, a strong smell of blood assaulted their nostrils. Bang! After the jar exploded, a large mass of flesh and blood instantly rained down on the head of the Hua family. "All right. We have received all the gifts. Is the Hua family head satisfied?" As Hu Fei's voice rang out, the Hua family head's expression instantly turned ferocious. His body instantly exploded. Hu Fei. His expression was extremely ferocious and distorted. He could clearly sense the aura on the blood and flesh. This was clearly Seventh Elder, who he had sent to family Hu. Chapter 1398. With a boom, the Hua family had attacked Hu Fei. However, just as his figure rose up, Chu Lingfeng, who had just thrown the jar, suddenly appeared in front of Hu Fei with a bang. With a bang, the muscles all over his body tightened and a fake petrification soul seal appeared on his back. That was a fake soul seal imprint that Luo Qingtong had drawn for Chu Lingfeng. With this fake soul seal imprint and Chu Lingfeng's special physique, he resisted the Hua family head's attack. Bang! Chu Lingfeng's figure retreated rapidly. The skin all over his body had exploded and he looked like a bloody man. However, the aura all over his body was not weak at all. He stared at the stunned Hua family head and then raised his hand to wipe the blood from the side of his lips. "My mother is not an immoral bitch," Chu Lingfeng said in a low, muffled voice. "If I hear anyone from the Hua family say such things again, I will kill one person for every word. As long as you can't kill me, I will kill everyone from the Hua family. Even if it was someone else who said it, I will still blame it on the Hua family." Chu Lingfeng had followed Luo Qingtong for a long time and he had learned some of Luo Qingtong's black-bellied character. Although he was silly, he was very concerned about his master's matters. As for his mother's matters, it was needless to say. This time, Chu Lingfeng came to the Hua family to present gifts, at his own request. He wanted to let everyone know in public that his mother was not to be trifled with. If these people brought up his mother's matters again, they could not blame him for being unscrupulous and starting a massacre. Anyway, his master had said that no matter what method he used, he would be a hero if he could win. Chu Lingfeng's voice was muffled. The Hua family head had not yet recovered from the shock of the other party being able to withstand his attack. In an instant he was angered to death by his words. The other party's words were simply shameless. Why should the Hua family be blamed for what other people said? They had gone too far. The family Hu people had gone too far. Patriarch Hua looked at family Hu with bloodshot eyes. Hu Fei did not expect Chu Lingfeng to jump out and block the attack. Not only that, he actually managed to block the attack and was only severely injured. He jumped in fright and hurriedly pulled Chu Lingfeng away. He was afraid that something would happen to this foolish nephew of his. When they returned, wouldn't his younger sister and ninth young master teach him a lesson? The group of people quickly left, leaving behind the furious Hua family head, who had lost all his face, panting heavily. Bastard. He slammed his palm heavily on the ground, almost flipping all the bluestones on the street. Prepare gifts for me and head to the other top clans immediately. Family Hu Yijio. Just wait and see. While the Hua family head was angrily heading to the other top clans, Hu Fei hurriedly brought Chu Lingfeng, who was badly mutilated, back to family Hu. He had not seen Chu Lingfeng injured before, so naturally he did not know about his special constitution. He was almost scared to death when he saw his badly mutilated appearance. Chu Lingfeng, on the other hand, looked completely fine. When he was in the blood arena, he often suffered more serious injuries than this. Chapter 1399. Ninth Young Master. Young Master. As soon as Hu Fei came back, he hurriedly went to look for Luo Qingtong. The latter had just finished her work and came back. Seeing Chu Lingfeng in such a state, she immediately raised her eyebrows. What's going on? Why are you injured like this? Didn't she tell them not to clash with the Hua family? Master. Seeing Luo Qingtong, Chu Lingfeng's indifferent expression changed. He lowered his head like a child who had done something wrong. Then, he quietly looked at Luo Qingtong from the corner of his eyes to see if she was angry with him. I deliberately blocked that old man's attack. Master, I warned them not to talk about my mother. Master, I didn't listen to you. Are you unhappy? Chu Lingfeng asked Luo Qingtong with a nervous expression. I won't. Luo Qingtong looked at Chu Lingfeng's expression, which was like a big wolf dog who was afraid of being abandoned. She immediately raised her head and patted his head. In the beginning she was willing to accept Chu Lingfeng and the others because of their filial and pure nature. Of course they were also loyal. You were right to protect Yen Yang. Luo Qingtong said, how can you not protect your parents when you are born? You did very well. As Luo Qingtong spoke, Chu Lingfeng immediately became happy. His tall and burly body looked particularly simple and straightforward. He kept smiling foolishly. But soon, he lowered his head and muttered in dissatisfaction. It's fine as long as I protect mother. I don't want that father. Hu Yinyang had never hidden anything from Chu Lingfeng. She felt that even if her son was a fool, he still had the right to know his own life and origin. Hu Yinyang actually didn't know much about that man. Back then, she had fallen into Bai Feng's trap and was invited to a rundown temple by the latter. In the end, the person who had been waiting for her was the man who had fallen into her trap. In her panic, Hu Yinyang only saw the word, Chu, on a jade tablet hanging around the other party's neck. There was another word at the end, but Hu Yinyang couldn't see it clearly. She fainted from the pain. When she regained consciousness, she was faced with Bai Feng's sad and pitying gaze, as well as the disdainful and contemptuous gazes of the Hua family, family Hu, and the others. Hu Yinyang didn't know the man's name, nor did he know if the word Chu was his surname. The word Chu was the only impression she had of him. Naturally, it was used on Chu Lingfeng and became his surname. This way, at least her son's life would be more complete. Hu Yinyang thought so. She rarely talked about the past, but when she did, she couldn't help but feel grief in her heart. Chu Lingfeng had secretly seen her cry a few times. Naturally, he didn't have any good impression of the father, who had made his mother so sad. In any case, he only recognized his mother. What was a father? He didn't know. Moreover, people had said that he was a fool since he was young. Even if he had a father, the other party wouldn't want him. Chu Lingfeng had heard a lot about this, so he didn't have any thoughts about this so-called father of his. However, even if he didn't want his father, he still wanted to seek justice for his mother. If he had the chance to meet the other party in the future, he would definitely ask the other party to seek justice for his mother. After Luo Qingtong finished treating Chu Lingfeng, she saw Hu Yinyang standing outside the door when she went out. The latter still had tears on her face. When she saw Luo Qingtong come out, she quickly wiped them away. Chapter 1400. Ouyang Clan? Luo Qingtong raised her eyebrows slightly. She looked at Hu Yinyang. The thing in the latter's hand was clearly an invitation. Luo Qingtong took it and opened it to take a look. It said that the Ouyang clan would be holding a meeting and invited her and family Hu to attend to discuss entering the Sage Monarch's tomb together. Luo Qingtong's eyes narrowed slightly. Sage Monarch's tomb meeting? Discuss entering the Sage Monarch's tomb together? Did the others also receive this invitation? Luo Qingtong looked at Hu Yinyang and asked. They all received it. Hu Yinyang said, all the forces and families in Wild City received this invitation, including those who rushed to Wild City after hearing the news. The news of the sage monarch's tomb began to spread after the Ouyang clan announced it. Luo Qingtong and the others had not heard of it when they were in Fenghua City because Fenghua City was located too far away from Wild City. So the news spread relatively slowly. When they rushed to Wild City later, they heard a lot of rumors along the way. During this period of time, many people rushed to Wild City, waiting for the sage monarch's tomb to appear. Well, in that case, let's go. Luo Qingtong's expression was indifferent, and her smile was playful. The Ouyang clan's move was really good. She did not know if it was Feng Wan's idea or not. This was an open conspiracy. Even if Luo Qingtong knew very well that the Ouyang clan was holding the sage monarch's tomb meeting this time, it was likely that they had an ulterior motive. However, so many people had received the invitation and would definitely go. If she and family who did not go, they would only become the target of everyone. In that case, why not go? She wanted to see what kind of surprise gift the Ouyang clan and Feng Wan had prepared for her. Yes. Hu Yinyang nodded and said, I'll immediately send someone to reply to the Ouyang clan. But master, she looked worriedly at Luo Qingtong and said, I'm afraid the Ouyang clan's grand assembly of the sage monarch's tomb this time isn't normal. I'm afraid that they will target you at the conference. Hu Yinyang followed Luo Qingtong and managed all the businesses and affairs of the Blackfield mansion for her. She was very sensitive to these conspiracies and immediately felt that something was wrong. She was worried about Luo Qingtong's safety. Master, should we send someone to ask for help from the Blackfield and ask them to send some people over? She looked at Luo Qingtong. Previously, Luo Qingtong had been hiding her identity, fearing that there would be some twists and turns in the matter of the Saint Monarch's tomb. Now that the Ouyang family and the Hua family were clearly targeting her master, and there was also a divine heavenly doctor who had a grudge against her master, Hu Yinyang was afraid that something would happen to Luo Qingtong's safety. Chapter 1401. Yes. Hu Yinyang agreed after thinking about it. In that case, her master could only rely on the power of the imperial sect. However, the imperial sect did not have any power in the western wilderness. With the power of the southern region in Wild City, it would be difficult to fight against the Ouyang family and the Hua family. Hu Yinyang left with a worried look. In the Ouyang family, Feng Wan received the news from the Ouyang family. He sneered in his heart, evil physician Gui Tong, you really agreed. Feng Wan had expected this. As long as Luo Qingtong was not stupid, she would definitely agree to come to the Sage Monarch's tomb conference. Now it seemed that it was true. Young master, please arrange an identity for me. The kind that can appear in front of people openly. My status can't be low. Feng Wan looked at Ouyang Xiao and said. She wanted to appear in the Sage Monarch's tomb conference to deal with Luo Qingtong. She wanted to get back some of the interest from before. Okay. Ouyang Xiao hurriedly agreed when he heard this. Will the Holy Doctor appear in the Sage Monarch's tomb conference as my fiancé? This way we can avoid people who don't have eyes looking for trouble with the Holy Doctor. We can also deal with Yijiao. Ouyang Xiao looked at Feng Wan with an infatuated and fawning expression. Okay. Feng Wan was very satisfied. The fiancé of the Ouyang family's young master was indeed of very high status. It was enough for her to deal with Luo Qingtong. While Feng Wan and Ouyang Xiao were talking, the Hua family head had already reached an agreement with the other top families. Among these families, some were already preparing to contact Luo Qingtong. After all, as long as they had the Sage Monarch's tomb map, they did not mind cooperating with family Hu and Yusi Huang. Moreover, they had no enmity with family Hu and Luo Qingtong. As long as they could give the corresponding conditions including supporting family Hu, they would definitely cooperate with them. However, before they could do anything, the head of the Hua family had already come knocking on their door. Not only that, but he also said that the Ouyang family had already asked him to cooperate. It was said that the Ouyang family had made it clear that they would not participate in the fight for the map of the Saint Monarch's tomb. However, the map of the Saint Monarch's tomb must not fall into the hands of family Hu. The people from the top clans fell silent. Helping family Hu meant going against the Ouyang family. The price was too high. It was far better to work with the Hua family. After all, both sides had the map of the Sage Monarch's tomb. Their chances of winning were too high. Almost without any hesitation, the group of people from the top clans agreed to the proposal of the Hua family head. Meanwhile, the Ouyang clan's invitation to the Sage Monarch's tomb had already reached them. Ah! Looking at the invitation card, Patriarch Hu couldn't help but laugh out loud. The Ouyang clan really keeps their word. The sage monarch's tomb is the perfect time to make a move. The Hua family head was indescribably proud of himself, and his face was full of confidence. The sage monarch's tomb conference was being held by the Ouyang clan, and the Ouyang clan was on their side. When Luo Qingtong and the others arrived, they would make a move and guarantee that the other party would not be able to escape even if they had wings. The Ouyang clan's move was too good. At that time, would Luo Qingtong and the others still not hand over the sage monarch's tomb map? The Hua family had sneered. Chapter 1402. So, Tong Tong, you want me to contact those forces in the southern mountain range? Yu Huang's pair of slanted phoenix eyes slightly raised, then he looked at Luo Qingtong with a charming face and said, "Then what benefits do I get?" Yu Huang had been tricked by Luo Qingtong several times. The kisses and hugs that he wanted, he didn't even get a single one. This time he was determined to succeed at least once. "You have to know, if it's my imperial sex forces, I will definitely agree without a second word. Who asked me to like you?" "But..." His eyes flashed with a charming light. "This time it's not my imperial sect's own forces. The forces in the 3 islands and 7 lands, I can barely command them, but other forces, I still have to discuss cooperation with them. You have to pay a lot of price, so..." Yu Huang raised his hand and stroked the tear mole under his eye. Smiling extremely charming and enchanting, he said, "Tong Tong, don't you think you should properly thank me?" "And properly thank you," Luo Qingtong said indifferently. "I want to take action." Yu Huang looked at Luo Qingtong with a face full of hidden bitterness. Every time she played word games with him. For example? Luo Qingtong raised her eyebrows. "Give me a kiss and I'll go immediately." Yu Huang raised his hand and pointed at his lips. The smile on his face became even more enchanting and charming. "Oh, then forget it." Luo Qingtong looked at him leisurely. "You can choose not to go, and when those people make trouble, I'll just say that I gave you the map. Anyway, those people's biggest goal is the map of the Saint King's tomb. What do you think?" "Not very good." Yu Huang's handsome face, when Luo Qingtong's words sounded, had already collapsed. This person really didn't give him any advantage at all. Yu Huang's face was gloomy. "I'll contact the southern region's forces right away." As he spoke, he looked at Luo Qingtong and said seriously, "However, the situation this time is obviously not right. I also received news that the Hua family seems to have joined forces with the Ouyang family and other top families. If that's the case, even if I gather all the forces on my side, we may not be able to deal with them. I think you should consider releasing a map of the sage monarch's tomb and let them fight amongst themselves. That way they won't suffer any losses and affect our plans to enter the sage monarch's tomb later." Yu Huang's suggestion was very pertinent. After all, Luo Qingtong had more than one map of the Saint Monarch's tomb in her hands. She could release one of them and let the top families in Wild City fight for it, breaking the Hua family's alliance. However, Yu Huang did not know that Feng Wan was behind the Ouyang family. With the latter's hatred for Luo Qingtong, even if Luo Qingtong did not have the map of the Saint Monarch's tomb in her hands, she would not let Luo Qingtong go. What's more, the Hua family, Luo Qingtong and family who had already formed a grudge. When the time came, even if there was no map of the Saint Monarch's tomb, the other party would still make a move. In that case, what difference did it make whether or not she released the map of the Saint Monarch's tomb? Luo Qingtong had never liked being forced to do things. If she was willing to give, others could take it. If she was not willing to give, no one could take it. If anyone dared to reach out and snatch it, she would chop off their hands. Chapter 1403. She didn't refute and only nodded at him. "Yes, I understand." The latter also nodded at her, then turned around and left to prepare. On the day of the Sage Monarch's tomb meeting, Luo Qingtong brought family whose people to the Ouyang residence. Yu Huang didn't go with her. He had consolidated the forces of the southern mountain range and had to stay there to preside over the overall situation. Yu Xingqi was also called over to help. Luo Qingtong and the others arrived at the gate of the Ouyang residence. When the guard of the Ouyang residence heard that they were family whose people, he immediately glanced at Luo Qingtong and then sent someone to report inside. At the same time he let Luo Qingtong and the others in. Luo Qingtong looked at the guard's action of running inside and suddenly raised her eyebrows. She didn't say anything and directly walked inside. In the inner courtyard, when Feng Yuan heard that Luo Qingtong and family whose people had arrived, he sneered and stood up. He said to the group of maidservants and guards behind him, "Let's go, we'll walk around the front courtyard. Bring the thing I want." "Yes." The group of maidservants and guards replied in unison. The maidservant at the front carried a small basket in her hand. Inside the basket there seemed to be something moving inside. The group of people walked towards the front courtyard in a grandiose manner. Luo Qingtong and the others were already close to the inner courtyard's venue. Along the way they met many people from other clans. The further in they went, the more people they met from other clans. Just as Luo Qingtong and the others turned a corner and were about to see the martial arts arena in front of them, a low cry suddenly came from not far away. "Inbao." Suddenly hearing such a voice, Luo Qingtong's eyes suddenly turned cold. She then turned her head to look in the direction of the voice. Eoeo. At this time, a small silver figure pounced at Luo Qingtong. It howled in a low voice with the milky breath of a cub. Luo Qingtong subconsciously wanted to raise her hand to catch it. At this time, an attack suddenly blasted on the small silver figure. Boom! The small silver figure was instantly hit by the attack and fell to the ground, crying out in grief. "I'm sorry. My silver fox must have disturbed everyone." A woman wearing a white gauze robe, surrounded by a group of maidservants and guards, walked over from the inner courtyard of the Ouyang residence. The woman's face was delicate, and her temperament was cold. She had a noble and cold aura. She looked very noble and unapproachable. Luo Qingtong narrowed her eyes at the woman. "She's to the Ouyang residence, and the other clans to the Ouyang family, and the other clans the Ouyang clans ts the clan. I didn't expect it to be so wild and hard to tame. It actually went berserk and hurt people. It even scratched my hand. I'm really sorry." Following the woman's voice, everyone looked at her hands. Sure enough, they saw several deep scratches on the back of her left hand. The scratches were fresh and the blood was still seeping out. It was obvious that she'd just been scratched. When everyone looked at the scratches, the woman's cold voice sounded again. "This little bastard attacked people and almost hurt our distinguished guests. This is unforgivable. Beat him." Chapter 1404. Two guards appeared behind her. They raised the whips in their hands and lashed out at the silver fox on the ground. Ow ow ow. The silver fox lay on the ground, its fur soaked in blood. It had been injured by the previous attack. Now it was lying on the ground, being lashed by the whips. It cried out in pain. As it cried out, it kept looking in the direction of Luo Qingtong. Its eyes were full of longing and hope, as if it was looking at the light of its salvation. "Master?" Hu Yenyang looked at the scene and was very surprised. What was going on? Why was Silver Baby here? Didn't Master say that it had been taken away? Could it be that there was an accident? Hu Yenyang looked at Luo Qingtong. She knew how much her master treasured the silver fox. If anyone dared to touch it, her master wouldn't let them off. "It's not Silver Baby." Luo Qingtong glanced at the silver fox and knew that it wasn't her Silver Baby. It wasn't just because the fox's claws weren't wearing the Shifang dragon ring, but because the fox's eyes weren't right. After all, the ring could be taken off. Besides, that ring originally belonged to Yi Qianxian. It wasn't surprising that someone else could take it off the silver fox's claws. But the eyes wouldn't lie. Her Silver Baby's eyes were very similar to Yi Qianxian's. Even when it was playing around and acting cute, there was always a hint of disdain in its eyes. It was disdain for itself. But even if it was so disdainful, it was still willing to act cute and play around for her. And when her Silver Baby was bullied, it wouldn't look at her as if she was its savior. It would only look at those who dared to bully it coldly like a king. And when she saved it, it would still look at her with disdain and depression. This was just a silver fox, not her silver child. Luo Qingtong was stunned for a moment at first, but then she reacted. But even if the other party wasn't Silver Baby, Luo Qingtong still felt very uncomfortable seeing this little fox that looked so similar to Silver Baby being whipped and abused. Especially since the person behind the scenes was obviously targeting her. Although the silver fox was not Silver Baby, it had been deliberately trained to look like Silver Baby in order to deal with it. Luo Qingtong's eyes turned cold. At that moment, the woman noticed her gaze and sneered inwardly. "Does evil Dr. Ghost Eye feel heartache?" The smile on Feng Yuan's lips turned slightly cold. There would be even more heart-wrenching things to come. That's right, this woman was Feng Yuan, who had appeared as Ouyang Xiao's fiancée. She had prepared the silver fox specifically for Luo Qingtong. She had already found out everything about Luo Qingtong, or rather Yi Jiu in family Hu. She knew that the latter had a silver fox that she liked very much and treated it like a treasure. She immediately thought that it must have been a gift from Yi Qianxian. Chapter 1405. She was waiting for Luo Qingtong to lose her patience and ask her for the little fox. It would be best if she mistook the little fox for Silver Bao. That way she would have more ways to deal with the other party. With that thought in mind, Feng Yuan ordered the 2 guards to whip the little fox even more viciously. The 2 of them had received Feng Yuan's orders in advance. They whipped the little fox as hard as they could, but they purposely didn't harm the little fox's life. With this, the little fox's cries became even more mournful. Feng Yuan's methods made many people frown. These people were from families in Wildland City, so they were naturally used to seeing blood. But even so, they still felt pity for a cub that didn't have much actual killing power. Seeing that the little silver fox had been beaten to such a state, and Feng Yuan didn't seem to be prepared to let it go, they all frowned. They felt that the other party's heart was a bit too ruthless. This little fox had done something wrong. She could have killed it, but why torture it like this? Furthermore, she clearly knew that it was a little fox that she had picked up and hadn't trained yet. She had carelessly vented her anger on a little animal that didn't even have the strength to fight back. Wasn't that too shameless? Feng Yuan naturally saw the changes in everyone's eyes. But she didn't care. It was just that Luo Qingtong didn't move, but Feng Yuan was starting to lose her cool. This little fox had been abused by her a few times before. It was already strong on the outside but weak on the inside. It wouldn't live for much longer. And just now, she had purposely provoked it to run towards Luo Qingtong. On top of that, she had hit it and whipped it. No matter how careful the 2 guards were, it wouldn't be able to survive for long. At that time, her plan to deal with Luo Qingtong would all be for naught. Thinking of this, she suddenly looked at Luo Qingtong and said, "This must be Lord Yi Jiu, right?" Luo Qingtong's hair was tied up with a jade crown. She was wearing a thin green robe. Although her face was disguised, she still looked delicate and handsome. Hearing Feng Yuan's question, she raised her eyebrows and looked at her. "Here it comes." She sneered in her heart. The other party really couldn't hold it in anymore. Feng Yuan. Luo Qingtong's eyes flashed with a bloody light. Long ago, when she thought that the person behind the scenes was coming for her, Luo Qingtong had already activated her eye technique. At this moment, Feng Yuan's true appearance after disguising herself was completely exposed before her eyes. The other party didn't have the same strength as Yi Qianren to be able to conceal her true appearance. At this moment, in front of Luo Qingtong's eye technique, it was completely exposed. "It's really her." Luo Qingtong sneered in her heart. "Miss, why did you call me?" She looked at Feng Yuan as if she didn't know the other party's identity at all. No reason. Feng Yuan really didn't expect that Luo Qingtong could see through her identity at a glance. She looked at Luo Qingtong and said coldly, "I just want to know why this little silver fox kept looking at you mournfully when it was being tortured. What's going on? I heard that when you were at Family Hu, you also had a little fox by your side called Yinbao? I wonder where that little fox is now." Since the first plan didn't work, she had to come up with another one. Since Luo Qingtong didn't ask her for the little fox, then she would directly pin the identity of the little fox on Luo Qingtong. According to what Feng Yuan knew, the little fox by Luo Qingtong's side had disappeared for several days. If it hadn't run away, then it had been taken away by someone. Since that was the case, wouldn't it be easy for her to say the identity of the little fox? As long as she could confirm the identity of this little fox, she would be able to accuse Luo Qingtong of harboring evil intentions and allowing a fox to commit murder. Chapter 1406. "Oh, do you mean that this little fox is mine?" Luo Qingtong looked at Feng Yuan. "Isn't it?" Feng Yuan's eyes were cold. He raised his head and looked down at Luo Qingtong. "I suddenly picked up this little fox a few days ago. At that time, I was wondering why such a little silver fox would come to the Ouyang family. From the looks of it, this little fox was sent by you on purpose, right? Just to win my sympathy, you left this little fox in the Ouyang family and waited for it to suddenly come out and hurt people on a big day like today's banquet." Feng Yuan looked coldly at Luo Qingtong and said in a deep voice, "Ninth young master, I don't know what grudges you have with the Ouyang family. How dare you harm us like this?" As she spoke, the expression on her face had already turned stern. "So, you're sure that this little fox is mine?" Luo Qingtong's expression did not change. She just looked at her indifferently. If an ordinary person encountered such a thing, they would have been furious. No matter how bad it was, they would be a little surprised. Luo Qingtong's face was expressionless. Feng Yuan was a little unsure of what Luo Qingtong wanted to do. She asked with a cold look, "Isn't it? If it isn't, how do you explain that this little silver fox ran to you when it saw you and deliberately hurt people? Now, when it was being tortured, it was desperately looking at you. Ninth young master, if you insist on not admitting it, then please take out the little silver fox beside you. If I've wronged you, I'll apologize to you immediately." Before Feng Yuan could finish his words, Luo Qingtong's cold voice sounded. "You really should apologize to me." At this point, Luo Qingtong had already stepped out from the crowd of family who. She looked coldly at Feng Yuan and the others and said coldly, "You beat up my little fox like this. I do want an explanation from you and the Ouyang family." When Feng Yuan heard Luo Qingtong's words, he was obviously stunned. He never thought that Luo Qingtong would admit it. Did she admit that this little fox was hers? Feng Yuan's mind was a little confused. He did not react for a while. In his opinion, Luo Qingtong should be trying her best to defend herself. However, he continued to force her. Luo Qingtong could not prove that this little fox was not her little fox. She could only bear the blame of being a scheming schemer with the intention to harm the Ouyang family. What was going on now? Even with Feng Yuan's intelligence and level of scheming, his brain was suddenly stuck in a shell. He could not wrap his head around it for a long time. He did not know what Luo Qingtong was trying to do. The other party admitted it just like that? Feng Yuan looked at Luo Qingtong and did not say anything for a while. Hu Yinyang, Hu Zhongtian, and the others behind Luo Qingtong were also shocked. When Feng Yuan asked Luo Qingtong just now, they already knew that the other party was deliberately targeting Luo Qingtong. However, like Feng Yuan, they could not understand why Luo Qingtong admitted it so directly. Wasn't this giving the other party a chance to make things difficult for her? As Hu Yinyang thought of this, he could not help but take a step forward and wanted to call out Luo Qingtong. Gong! When the words were about to come out of her mouth, she suddenly thought of something and swallowed them back. Chapter 1407. Your little fox came to our Ouyang family for no reason. Not only did it attack us, but it also ran into the crowd on purpose. If the people of the other clans are hurt, wouldn't our Ouyang clan be the scapegoat for no reason? I haven't even asked you if you had any ulterior motives, and you want us to apologize to you? What do you mean? Feng Yuan's face hardened as he spoke. Exactly what I said. Luo Qingtong looked at him calmly. You also said that my little fox came to your place for no reason. Since you knew that it was called Silver Bow and that I had a little silver fox with me, you deliberately kept it in the Ouyang family so that I couldn't find it during this period of time. That's not all. You deliberately let it out at this time to attack people and then beat it up in front of me. As Luo Qingtong spoke, she pointed at the little fox that was beaten to its last breath and said coldly, "Shouldn't the Ouyang family be the one apologizing to me? My little fox was beaten to this state by you, and the Ouyang family is still playing the blame game. Are you bullying me and family who because we don't have anyone behind us? This debt, I will naturally settle it with the Ouyang clan later. But first I want to collect some interest from you. Break their hands." Luo Qingtong raised her hand and pointed at the two guards who had beaten the little fox. She had seen clearly that each time the two of them hit the little fox, they specifically hit the softest and most vulnerable part of the little fox. They didn't use much strength, but it was very painful. They were so cruel and merciless to a little fox. Even if they were following orders, it was unforgivable. Because they clearly didn't have to be so heavy-handed. Yes. Following Luo Qingtong's order, people from family whose side immediately rushed out. Chu Lingfeng was the first to take the lead and directly crippled the hands of the two guards. His movements were extremely simple and crude. The moment the two guards came face to face with him, they instantly let out a blood-curdling scream. Their hands that were holding the long whips were broken in an instant. It was the kind of fracture that was completely destroyed by brute force. The bones and the flesh were shattered into pieces and could not be reconnected. The hands of these two guards were completely crippled. How dare you? Feng Yuan gritted her teeth as she watched this scene. She never thought that Luo Qingtong would turn the tables in such a way. The other party's way of thinking simply defied common sense. She was the one who was slandering her. She actually used their slander to deal with them. Shouldn't a normal person, when encountering such a situation, retreat and clear their name first? Luo Qingtong did the opposite. The one who tore people apart was torn apart instead. Chapter 1408. So, I was the one who told you to keep it? Was I the one who told you to keep it? Luo Qingtong sneered. You kept my little fox, deliberately released it when I came to the sage monarch's tomb, and then slandered me for having ulterior motives? You people from the Ouyang clan are stupid, but don't think that others are the same as you. Luo Qingtong's words were simply cutting to the heart. When Feng Yuan heard this, he almost couldn't hold back the taste of blood in his throat. Shouldn't Luo Qingtong be the one to say all this? Shouldn't such aggressive and strict questioning be his own lines? If he didn't know the truth of the matter, if he didn't know that this little fox was in fact, he would have found it to cause trouble for Luo Qingtong and slander her. Feng Yuan almost believed that Luo Qingtong was telling the truth. If even she thought so, then there was no need to talk about the others. Feng Yuan was really angry. His body couldn't help but tremble, and he pointed at Luo Qingtong for a long time, unable to speak for a long time. Pa! Luo Qingtong's figure suddenly flashed, and before anyone could react, she had ruthlessly slapped Feng Yuan's face. In an instant, the latter's face swelled up high, like a big white steamed bun. Luo Qingtong's expression was cold. This slap is a little interest I'm collecting from you on behalf of my silver baby. As for the matter of the Ouyang clan slandering me, I will thoroughly seek justice at the sage monarch's tomb. No need to thank me for showing mercy. As Luo Qingtong spoke, she looked at Feng Yuan, who was in a daze. He hadn't expected to be hit in the first place. Luo Qingtong's lips curled into a cold smile. She waved her hand and picked up the dying silver fox. Then she led Hu Yinyang and the others away. Oh wow. The silver fox whimpered weakly, reaching out its tongue to lick the Luo Qingtong. It had been trained by Feng Yuan to subconsciously search for Luo Qingtong's aura. This was because when it was around Feng Yuan, it would only be able to avoid being beaten if it ran in front of something with this aura. Luo Qingtong lowered her head to look at the little fox in her arms. The latter's entire body was as thin as ribs, and it was extremely hard to touch. Not to mention the injuries in its body were a ghastly sight. From this, it could be seen what kind of abuse this little guy had suffered in the hands of Feng Yuan. If the real Yinbao had fallen into the hands of the other party, it probably wouldn't have lived to see her again. As Luo Qingtong thought of this, the light in her eyes became even colder. If it weren't for the fact that the timing wasn't right, she definitely wouldn't have let Feng Yuan escape so easily. He dared to use Yinbao to threaten her. Even if it was just a little fox that looked very similar to Yinbao, it would still be the same. Chapter 1409. In other words, she had tried her best to slander Luo Qingtong, but in the end she had been slandered by the other party. Not only had she not vented her anger, she had also given her carefully planned weakness to the other party. Feng Yuan was truly infuriated. Her exquisite face that was like a celestial being that had been exiled to the mortal world was almost twisted into a ball at this moment. Evil Dr. Ghost Eye. She gritted her teeth and coldly shouted. Every word was extremely cold, just like a ghost. At this time, Ouyang Xiao and the others had received the news and rushed over. Holy One, what is going on? In order to make it easier for Feng Yuan to hide her identity, after she became Ouyang Xiao's fiancée, Ouyang Xiao and the others also changed the way they addressed her. When Ouyang Xiao and the others arrived at the scene, they saw the two guards lying on the ground and then looked at Feng Yuan's face. It was obvious that she had been beaten. Ouyang Xiao immediately became angry. The woman he had taken a fancy to was now his fiancée, yet someone dared to beat her. What is going on here? He sternly shouted at the surrounding servants and guards who were as silent as cicadas in winter. It's. The group of servants and guards did not dare to hide anything and hurriedly told him what had just happened. At this time Feng Yuan's voice rang out and cut them off. It's family who's Yijio. Feng Yuan's eyes were cold. When I asked you to find me that little silver fox, I originally wanted to anger her. In the end, she directly said that the little silver fox was the one she raised and directly took it away. She even slapped me and crippled the two guards beside me. Feng Yuan's expression was cold. Her words, at first, seemed to be the same as the previous facts. But in reality there was a big difference. Luo Qingtong became the bully who took advantage of her power and forcefully took her fox. And Feng Yuan completely became the victim. She didn't mention that she had tried to use the silver fox to slander Luo Qingtong and harm the Ouyang family. She made herself sound innocent. But if she really wanted to say that she was lying, she really didn't. The maids and guards of the Ouyang family felt that something was wrong with her words, but they couldn't tell what exactly was wrong. When Ouyang Shao asked them if that was the case, they could only agree. What a good Yizhou. Ouyang Shao's expression was cold. How dare you be impudent in our Ouyang clan? Let's go to the venue. Ouyang Shao angrily led a group of people in the direction of the martial arts practice field. Luo Qingtong had already sat down with Family whose people were arranged in a very special position. They were actually seated at the very front, much closer to the front than the seats of the big families in Wilderness City. The guards of the Ouyang clan explained to the people of the other clans that this was because Family Hu and Luo Qingtong had the map of the sage monarch's tomb. They were discussing how to enter the tomb together, so naturally they had to sit at the front. But Luo Qingtong noticed that their seats were surrounded by people from the top clans. And the whole clan was right across from them. This was getting interesting. Luo Qingtong gently stroked the silver fox in her arms, but she wasn't as enthusiastic as when she was with Yi Qianxian. This silver fox was different from Yinbao. After saving this little guy, Luo Qingtong became more and more aware of this fact. She originally thought that Yinbao was a gift from Yi Qianxian, plus it was a cute silver fox. That was why she was so indulgent and fond of it. Chapter 14:10. At this moment, the little silver fox that had been rescued was 70 to 80% similar to Silver Bao. Furthermore, it had been trained by Feng Yuan to be very close and attached to her. The way it looked at her was also unusually passionate and affectionate. However, Luo Qingtong didn't have the same feelings as she did for Silver Bao. She teased the little silver fox in her arms. The latter's injuries had already completely healed. The hidden injuries inside had also been completely healed by Luo Qingtong's pupil technique. At this moment, it was snuggling up to Luo Qingtong. Under the girl's teasing, it whined and dodged. Sometimes it didn't even understand what Luo Qingtong was doing. It just stared at her with its round eyes, a little confused and a little silly. In the end, it's not it. Luo Qingtong was a little disappointed. Her little silver Bao was indeed different from the rest. When Luo Qingtong teased it, it would be disdainful and depressed. Then it would helplessly do as she wished. Little Silver Bao's performance was so intelligent that Luo Qingtong, who had never had a pet before, thought that the little silver fox was a smart and intelligent animal. But now it seemed that only her silver Bao was different. Those eyes were so lively that they didn't seem like they belonged to a little fox cub. Luo Qingtong was disappointed. Suddenly, a thought suddenly flashed through her mind. Humph, in this world, is there anyone who can suddenly turn into an animal? She transmitted her voice to Little Pig in her mind. The latter was lying on the ground floor of the 9-story exquisite pagoda, teasing the little golden mouse next to it. Hearing this, it was stunned for a moment. Then it said, "There is, but it has to be a Yao." They were originally Yao in human form. Naturally, they can turn into animals. But Yao cultivation isn't that simple. Most of the Yao strength can't even turn into human form. Why are you asking? Little Pig asked Luo Qingtong. It's nothing. I was just asking. Luo Qingtong's expression was indifferent, but she was deep in thought. Yi Qianxian shouldn't be a Yao cultivator, right? She hadn't come into contact with other foxes before, so she didn't know. Now that she had come into contact with another little fox, Luo Qingtong realized that Silver Bao was as smart as a spirit. In addition, it had the 10-dragon ring on its claws. Luo Qingtong couldn't help but wonder in her heart, could it be Yi Qianxian? The human and beast, whether it was their personalities or eyes, they were too similar. Luo Qingtong was deep in thought. If there was a chance in the future, she would go back and test it out. Just as she was thinking about this in her heart, not far away, Ouyang Shao brought the people of the Ouyang family and walked over aggressively.